and the author of Holding the Line, former White House physician, current Texas Congressman Ronny Jackson. Dr. Jackson, let me start with you. I will acknowledge that probably the easiest speech any president gives is a State of the Union, because you basically read 2 lines off a teleprompter, people clap, you get a break, you take a sip of water. Okay, so Joe passed the State of the Union test. But then you see him the last 2 days. He's mumbling. At times he's incoherent. He's saying inappropriate things. Other times he's lashing out in anger. Are they not all classic signs of somebody that is in a steep cognitive decline?
Absolutely, Sean. That's what happens when you get old. You get confused. You get cognitively impaired. You start striking out at people. This is a common behavior, along with all the other physical things that you see when he shuffles and he walks and he slurs his speech and he's confused. And, you know, you're right, Sean. I mean, he's got all kinds of issues. He is racist. He is stupid in my mind. I mean, you know, he says he may be white, but he's not stupid. I submit to you that he's both white and stupid. And if I said some of the things that he said, if I talked about the nurse the way he did, for 2 weeks, the only news cycle would be what a pervert I was. And if I had said or even a single one of the things that he said race related, my career would be over. But he gets away with it. And so, you know, it's getting worse by the day. I mean, we need a commander in chief that's 100%, and he's nowhere close to 100%. And, you know, he's becoming an embarrassment. The clip you played earlier where he was in Virginia Beach, the audience was actually laughing at him. And you can imagine if an audience of supporters that he's speaking to in the United States is laughing at him, imagine what the other leaders, the world leaders around the world think about this man, our allies and our adversaries. It's a scary situation, Sean, and we've got to do something about it. And, you know, the fact that Jill Biden is pushing him to run again is a shame. She should be ashamed that she let him do it the first time. And for her to be pushing him to do this again, this really is a virgin on elder abuse now. And she's motivated by things that aren't pure. She wants so bad to be in the White House. She wants to continue to be First Lady more than she wants her next breath. And this is just not good for our country.
Larry Elder, I may be white, but I'm not stupid. On top of all the other racist things that Joe Biden said, why does he get a pass? And do you believe that any Republican, any conservative would ever get the same kind of pass?
He gets a pass because he's not Donald Trump, and his job was to drag himself across the finish line in November of 2020 and defeat Donald Trump. And it isn't just these condescending, paternalistic, offensive statements he makes about if I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid, put you all back in chains, lying about over 30 years that he's desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware, when he didn't do any. The NAACP endorsed him in all of his races when they endorsed him in none. He tried to visit Nelson Mandela during apartheid South Africa when he didn't. It's the policies that are hurting the very people he claims to care about. Inflation. People at the very bottom, when they're paying more for gasoline, have a bigger bite out of their pocketbook than people in the middle class and upper class. The borders. People who have to compete against illegal, unskilled workers are black and brown workers with high school or less living in the inner city, the people that Joe Biden claims he cares about. And finally, there's his opposition to choice in schools. You've got 13 public high schools in Baltimore, Sean, where 0% of the kids can do math at grade level. 85% of black 8th graders nationwide can neither read nor do math at grade level, yet Biden and his party opposes school choice. These are the kinds of things that offend me far more than the condescending, insulting statements he says to let people know that he's down with the brothers in order to get votes.
Larry, Leo, do you agree with Larry? Is it the things that he says that people should pay attention to, or the horrible policies, or both? And what would the reaction across the country be if this was said by somebody, a white politician or a white president?
Well, I'll tell you right now, it would be 24/7 CNN. And again, if it was Trump, 24/7 CNN and MSNBC. Sean, on your program, Joe Biden is the reason why I am a Trump Republican, because he made that comment about if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. This guy is a racist, and his own party knows it, but they excuse his conduct. With Congressman Jackson, who's also a doctor, with his testimony, I can't convince a jury or a judge that Joe Biden needs a conservator. And I'll tell you right now, Jill Biden is responsible. She doesn't want to be in Delaware with him. She's out lollygagging, and she wants him to run again because she is really responsible for putting this guy out there. That is outright elder abuse because this man doesn't even know what he's saying. He doesn't know what he's doing. And finally, if the Democrats were not so obsessed with power, they should invoke the 25th Amendment. This guy is not mentally competent. I know it. You know it. The Fox viewers know it. And all the Democrats know it. But they love power and control, and that's why they keep him in office.
Dr. Jackson, you administered the cognitive test to Donald Trump. Donald Trump said he'd take another one. We just heard from Joe Biden's doctors. They said he's vigorous and in great health. Do you believe that? Do you think he could pass the same cognitive test that Donald Trump took and aced? I understand he didn't get a single wrong question.
I don't think he could get the first three questions right, Sean, which are to identify 3 African animals. I don't think he could do that. I don't think he could get a 5 out of 30 on that test. And that's why he's not getting the test. That physical exam was nothing more than an effort to check the box and move on. And unfortunately, we still have a complicit press that basically let the physician do that. They should have had his physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, up there in front of the press the same way I did in defending that physical for an hour and a half up there. I had every medical consultant and every news agency known to man standing before me out there picking that thing apart, and I defended it for an hour and a half, and he needs the same type of scrutiny. Especially Joe Biden needs that kind of scrutiny based on what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis with this man. So no, I don't believe the results of that at all.
And you were risking your life because you said Donald Trump had to lose a few pounds. I don't know how that would go over with, I don't know. I don't know if
He
I'd
wasn't too happy about that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Congressman Ronny Jackson, Dr. Ronny Jackson, thank you. Leo Terrell, thank you. Larry Elder.